Whoever requested this, I'm just going to say this right now. Whoever requested this show to do, I hate you so much. I want to. How long was this show? 2+ hours?
2 hours, 47 minutes, 43 seconds.
I want 2 hours, 47 minutes, and 43 seconds of my life back, because I will never get that time back, ever again.
You're acting like the whole show was terrible.
There were a couple things good, which we'll get to, but
as we cover this, so
I saw one of the worst matches of my life. That's all I'll say.
You saw one of the worst matches of your life?
Yes.
So I'm going to let you know this. I used a completely different notebook, one larger than my last one. This show still has used up more pages than any other show we've ever done.
Oh my god. Which is terrible, because that means we have to talk about this show more than it deserves to be talked about.
Anyway, this show is New Blood Rising from the year 2000. But before we get to that, the news, we don't even have to make it up this time. Kenny Omega back in PWG for the first time in nearly 2 years.
Yes, he is. That's pretty freaking awesome.
Yep.
If I do say so myself. I know when was the last time he was there? Was it against Ospreay?
All-Star Weekend 11. Ospreay. Yep.
Was that 2014 or 15?
15. December 2015.
Okay. So like right before he made his big year.
Yep.
Last year. So yeah, it's been a while, and I'm glad that he's back, because and teaming up with the Elite too.
Yeah.
And that match should be pretty crazy. The whole card, I mean, my goodness, man.
Yeah, no, the card looks really good, at least between the guys I know, anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's like a lot of new guys that like I've never heard about, but I know like at the end of the weekend that they're going to be one of my favorite wrestlers.
I mean, they tend to pick quality people.
Oh yeah, well like, because it's always like oh, who the hell are these people? Like, you know, like why are they getting these people to come in? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, these guys are pretty freaking awesome. That's why. So yeah.
But that's really all the big news we have to talk about. I mean, if need be, you could bring up Kurt Angle's son.
I was gonna say Kurt Angle has a son in Jason Jordan. They actually did. I saw a meme about this a week ago.
No, I was hearing this like all the way back last week. They're like, oh, it's probably going to be a kid, or for some reason the internet was really all over the gay lover thing. It was either going to be he had a kid or he had a gay lover.
You know, I saw this video of Kurt Angle back, I guess this was in 2005, when he had the whole gimmick with Daivari manager. I can't remember his name. But either way, he had a gimmick where basically...
Daivari was the manager. Are you referring to Muhammad Hassan?
Possibly.
Yeah, Daivari was Muhammad Hassan's manager, and then Muhammad Hassan left and he partnered with Angle.
Okay, I got them mixed up. Anyways, they were together, and basically he basically goes... he says straight up, I'm not too fond of the blacks. He says this. And I'm like, oh my god.
If I remember right, I think that's New Year's Revolution 2006. He does a bunch of things just to prove the crowd will still cheer for him when the matches start.
Yeah. Yes, because I just pulled up the tweet, and in the background it says New Year's Revolution, yeah. Because, he said, like...
Then he said something about how he would make Jesus tap out.
Yeah, something like that, and, a bunch of other stuff. But,
and then the crowd cheered for him the whole match.
Yeah. Well, because I remember, like, him saying all that stuff, but I don't remember him ever saying, I'm not too fond of the black. Are you kidding me? That's so bad.
It's great.
I mean, it's fantastic, but, like, if you said that now, oh my god.
Anyway, speaking of dumb ideas people will talk about, this show happened.
Thanks, whoever made us do this.
In the year 2000, New Blood Rising WCW, of course, in the year 2000, they weren't doing all that great financially. They actually just recently lost over $11 million in the course of 2 months, which was greater than their loss the entire previous 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Desperate to improve their ratings, they brought in both Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff.
I remember this.
Yeah.
Don't remember watching this, but I remember, they had a whole stretch of pay-per-views when they brought in Russo and Bischoff. Or just Russo. And, I just remember
Russo kind of turns into the big focus really fast.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Russo's big plan right off the bat is to strip every champion of their title. Start anew.
Which is kind of dumb.
Anyway, they start anew and they form 2 mega factions. The Millionaires Club, which consists of all the old-timers, quote-unquote, headed up by Eric Bischoff, and the New Blood, headed up by Vince Russo, the young generation who wants to prove they can hang with the old-timers and set the future.
Which is kind of opposite now with Vince Russo.
Naturally, the New Blood, all of the young guys, was the heel group, and the Millionaires Club was the face.
Because old people are the nicer ones.
Yep.
The young people are evil.
That is where the name for this pay-per-view came from. However, the Millionaires Club versus New Blood angle didn't last very long, so the pay-per-view name just doesn't really mean anything. But that doesn't matter. We're having the pay-per-view. Booker T is the world champion after winning it from Jeff Jarrett at Bash at the Beach, which has its own very infamous set of circumstances. But if we ever cover Bash on the Beach, we can go more into detail then, with Hogan beating Jarrett, then leaving forever.
Do we need to talk about it?
If we ever do the show, we can just skim over it for now. Hogan beat Jarrett, left forever, talked about how terrible WCW was. On the show.
Yeah.
Vince Russo bashes Hogan on the show and strips him of the title, says there will be another match between Jeff Jarrett and Booker T. And this was Booker T's first world title ever, and it was a big moment for him. So this is him defending the title against Jeff Jarrett in Jeff Jarrett's rematch. That's the main event of the show tonight. Meanwhile, the only other match on this card, really, with any story they bother telling you about, is Goldberg versus Kevin Nash versus Scott Steiner. They don't like each other very much. So are they going to be professional and have a normal match? That's the story.
Honestly, when I saw that, I was like, okay, this gotta be a good joke, right? Like, this is terrible.
Are they going to follow the rules? We'll have to cover that when we get to it.
I feel like that should be the story of every match. Is this person going to try to win cleanly or win uncleanly?
Kevin Nash, in a very big line of the promo, assures us that he's not sure he's going to be professional during this triple threat match.
What a rebel.
So, New Blood Rising is announced. The pay-per-view is coming up. Canada is excited. It's their first big WCW pay-per-view. 5,000 tickets sell fast. They then begin announcing matches for the card. And ticket sales suddenly stop.
I wonder why. Was this the only pay-per-view they got?
Canada?
For WCW?
Yes.
Oh, those poor bastards. They got a bad one.
At the end of the day, WCW had to give 3,000 free tickets away. Of the 3,000 free tickets given away, 1,300 showed up.
Oh my God.
The other 1,700 people stayed home.
This just shows the state of WCW. I didn't even know any of this. That's incredible.
The death of WCW goes into this a little more.
Yeah, I haven't read that. I need to read that book again. Or the audiobook, because I don't read books. Come on.
Well, the audiobook works fine, too. It's a long one, though. It's like 22 hours.
I know. It's a very long one.
So, the stage is set for this extraordinary pay-per-view. Lance Storm, going into the show, was also a little upset. We can bring that up here as well, because, as you may have gathered, he's kind of the big star here in Canada, Lance Storm. He's the one everyone in Canada is excited to see. He details how, for the first time ever in his career, they had sold out of his t-shirt. And he was amazed at this. He thought, wow, they've actually sold out my t-shirt in like 20 minutes. That's incredible. As it turns out, they had brought in 200 of his t-shirts for the 3-day tour of shows they were doing.
That's rough.
They had not brought in any more, and their reason for not bringing any more than 200 Lance Storm t-shirts for 3 back-to-back shows, they were also doing Nitro the following night in the same arena, is that they had never sold t-shirts in Canada very well before. In response to this, he asked if they had ever had a major Canadian star on the shows in Canada before. They responded no. Again, just showing how well the business was being run at this point in time.
Incredibly well. I've never seen it run as well as it is here.
So, we open up with the first match of the show, where we have 3 count versus the Young Dragons in a ladder match for 3 counts golden record and the recording contract. You see, 3 count had sold so many CDs, so many records, that they had gone above platinum and into gold. What anyone failed to tell WCW was that a gold record means far less than a platinum.
Oh, I thought the same thing too. I was going to bring that up. Oh my god. I was like, wait a minute. That's not right.
That's the story.
Oh my god.
The Young Dragons, desperate to stop 3 count from singing, as their whole gimmick is that they are the Backstreet Boys that wrestle, have decreed that there is to be a recording contract, so that if they get the recording contract, the 3 count group won't be able to sing anymore. Also, the gold record is there too, for some reason. Don't know why the Young Dragons want that.
Who knows?
But that is the story for our match. 3 count has 2 people you may be familiar with as members of its group. The members of 3 count are Evan Courageous, Shannon Moore, and Shane Helms. And as I said, you may know at least 2 of those names. Meanwhile, on the Young Dragons, 2 names you may also know, Jamie San and Jimmy Yang. Jamie San, of course, would later go on to be Jamie Noble.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. This match was I think it was probably the best on the show, in my opinion.
We have a nice technical exchange at the start that lasts for all of 15 seconds. 3 count runs off to get some ladders. Young Dragons cut them off. And immediately we start going into crazy ladder spots.
Of course. What's psychology when you can just use ladders?
I mean, it works in multi-man ladder matches, I think. You don't really see a lot of psychology in Money in the Bank either.
Oh, for sure it does. No, yeah, but like when it's like an 11-minute match, it's just like right away, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Well, it's high-paced. It's a frantic opener, and the crowd loves it.
Well, it's a good way to start the show, that's for sure.
Yeah,
because the rest was...
We'll get to that. We have a back body drop into a ladder, which is propped up in the corner. One spot I really liked, 3 count is singing their song as they're swinging Jamie back and forth, and they throw him onto the ladder. They pile all 3 members of the Young Dragons on top before throwing Shannon Moore into the air on top of them. We've got double springboard doomsday device, where they do both of the ropes off of the clothesline off the shoulders. Noble dives off the top of the ladder onto the floor, onto all 3 count. We have a sleeper slam off the ladder by Moore. There is an absolutely beautiful leaping neck breaker. Shane Helms does off a ladder.
That was really nice.
Goes to show why he becomes one of the most successful cruiserweights WWE's ever had.
Yeah. Holy crap! Really, they really haven't had a lot of good cruiserweights, have they?
We get a superplex off the ladder by Evan Courageous. Yang does a backflip off the ladder into a spinning heel kick. It's meant to be a moonsault, but he only kicks them. Evan does a power slam on the ladder. Shannon Moore does a springboard catapulting the ladder into Jamie's face.
Oh, yeah.
Asai moonsault by Yang, which is apparently just not important enough to even be mentioned by commentary or shown. You just see him do the moonsault off screen. Like he starts the moonsault and then he goes off the screen.
Oh.
But at this point I can't blame them compared to everything else.
Yeah.
Super Hurricane Rana to Shannon Moore by Jamie. 2 other dragons both hit splashes off the top of a ladder at the same time.
That was cool.
Jamie goes up and unhooks the gold record. But 3 count drop kick the ladder, and Tank Abbott, who is managing 3 count, catches it. Somehow meaning that 3 count has won the gold record. But okay.
It was dumb. It was dumb, as usual.
The dragons put Evan Courageous in a ladder, and Jamie jumps onto it. Shannon goes from one ladder to another after Helms gets shoved off of one. Powerbomb to Shannon Moore off the ladder.
Nice.
Shane Helms and Yang are up top fighting for the contract. They're both on their own separate ladders. Tank Abbott, managing 3 count, and Shane Helms pushes both ladders over for no reason. Now that he's pushed both ladders over, Evan Courageous, also part of 3 count, is able to climb the ladder and grab the contract for 3 count in 11 minutes and 13 seconds.
Yeah, just overbooked at the end, that's for sure.
In case you were wondering, no, it is never explained why Tank Abbott pushed his own teammate over.
No, it makes no sense.
It's just something he did.
It's a turn.
Well, no, he pushed both. Like, I understand Yang was on top of one ladder and Shane was on top of the other. You could have just pushed over Jimmy's ladder and you would have been fine.
Right.
But he pushed over both.
Cause why not?
I mean, I guess it looks cooler for the cameras to see 2 people falling. That's the only guess I can make.
But I mean, that's just not a good excuse.
Cut backstage to Commissioner Ernie Miller's office. What are your thoughts on Ernest the Cat Miller?
I don't wanna give my opinions. Opinions are not needed from me because I don't know.
All right.
Listen, Ernest is one of the best.
One of the best.
No, one of the best. No sarcasm.
Okay.
One of the best.
All right. You like his theme song when he first came to WWE?
Oh, fantastic! It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the theme song.
Ernest Miller was the first person to ever be given the "Somebody Call My Mama" theme song.
Oh my goodness gracious! It was him?
Yeah, as that was his gimmick in WCW.
Well,
he would dance.
It's a fine moment for him. Oh my gosh!
And he's the commissioner of WCW right now.
This show hurts my head.
Because reasons. His office has been invaded by the filthy animals. Rey Mysterio, Juventud Guerrera, and Conan. Yes, Rey Mysterio is in this office, unmasked.
He's just chilling there, unmasked.
Yeah, he was unmasked by WCW the previous year.
Yeah. But I was really surprised. I was like, oh yeah, they did unmask him. I was like, what the heck? Well, at first I didn't know. I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, that's fucking Rey Mysterio.
The Filthy Animals demand that they get a tag team title match in exchange for helping Ernest Miller beat the Great Muta. They also ask to be the special referees for the Four Corners tag match tonight, which he also just says, yeah, sure, okay, too. So
Sure,
they're getting a tag title match tomorrow against the winners of this Four Corners match, and they're the referees for the Four Corners match, in exchange for helping him win a match.
I don't want to delve into it. It makes my head hurt.
Ernest agrees and gets ready for his match with the Great Muta, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Legendary name.
Legendary.
So Miller is ready. He knows that Muta does not speak English very well, so he puts it simply for him. He says he is going to whoop Great Muta's great ass. And then punches him.
Hilarious.
Yes. Muta sells the 10 punch in the corner, but then comes back with an eye rake. Muta locks in an armbar, and it's only in for about 45 seconds, but by this show's comparison, that is an eternity and a half.
Right.
Tigress, one of the members of the Filthy Animals, heads to the ring, and everyone's wondering what she's doing there. This allows Miller to kick Muta out of the ring and choke him with a cable, which should be a disqualification, but it's not.
Because what are rules?
Miller goes for a big kick on Muta, but he counters it into a dragon screw. Muta then goes for his signature moonsault, but Miller moves out of the way. Following this, Muta spits his signature green mist into Ernest's face, and the referee then pulls Ernest aside to brush it out of his face. While the referee is doing this, Tigress climbs the apron with a steel chair and jumps off of it, hitting Muta in the head. Ernest crawls to the cover, but only gets a 2 count. Muta then gets up and starts doing a bunch of strikes. However, Ernest Miller is now better at karate than the Great Muta.
All of a sudden.
Yeah.
The fuck?
And he hits him with a combination of 8 kicks, ending with a spinning heel kick and getting a 3 count on Great Muta in 6 minutes and 47 seconds.
I hated this so much. So much. This was what the opening match was like, okay, this isn't great, but it's not terrible. It was a pretty enjoyable spot fest. This is when I knew the fuckery was about to happen with this show. This is when I knew everything was going downhill.
So, the Filthy Animals have fulfilled their promise, and Tigress helped Ernest Miller win. Not that it made much difference. They were already given their position as referees for the night and title contenders tomorrow anyway. But they fulfilled their end of the deal, so I guess that makes them slightly less evil bad guys.
Just a little less. A little.
Cut backstage to Buff Bagwell looking for his mom. He's not able to find her in the 10 seconds of screen time he has before Positivity Canyon, Chris Canyon, comes out. Chris Canyon, upset at his lack of success, had recently begun impersonating DDP and was finding more success doing that. But he didn't have a Kimberly, which was DDP's first big singles push, which was DDP's manager when he had his first big singles push. So for whatever reason, Canyon decided in order to truly replicate DDP's success, the best replacement for Kimberly would be Buff Bagwell's mom.
Oh, God.
Buff Bagwell's mom wanted nothing to do with Canyon, but he decreed that he would make her be his manager whether she wanted to or not. and that he and Canyon would have and that he and Bagwell would have a match for who would have the right to her. And this match would take place in a Judy Bagwell on a pole match. So that is what we're going to get to.
This was ridiculous. There's no words to describe what I watched in this match. I mean, there are words, but I just don't want to speak them because I feel guilty. I feel like I'd be like sinning or something. I'd have to go to church and cleanse myself of all my sins.
Canyon brings Judy out on a forklift. That's not a pole. He reveals that he looked all over this second-rate country, but he couldn't find a pole strong enough to hold her.
Is that a fat joke?
Maybe.
I feel like it is.
Who's better at making fat jokes than Canyon?
Right. Well, the thing is, so he's basically saying Canada has more skinnier people than America.
If you want to take it that way.
I'm taking it that way.
He called it second rate and run down when he repeated his line.
Well, I don't think he understands his line as well as I understand his line.
Okay. Who gets confused by his messages better than Canyon? Anyway, now that he has brought Judy Bagwell out here and has her raised on a forklift, he decrees that this will instead be a Judy Bagwell on a forklift match. Bagwell finally realizes his mom is not backstage and is in fact outside at the ring ready for the match that he knew about. And comes out to fight Canyon.
Oh my god.
Bagwell is in control at first, and he throws Canyon into the crowd. They fight in the crowd for about 30 seconds, so a really long time, apparently. And then he throws Canyon back into the ring area, and we begin the match proper. There's a back body drop followed by a neck breaker. Canyon counters the 10 punch with a low blow in front of the referee. I guess this match is also secretly no DQ.
Is every match secretly no DQ on this show? Do they not explain that, hey, every match is no DQ on this show?
It's never brought up.
Oh, alright.
Canyon does do a fairly nice move, a Russian leg sweep off the second rope. Avalanche Russian leg sweep. Canyon then takes a pair of wire cutters, which for some reason I wrote in my notes as firecrackers, and he cuts the turnbuckle pad off, leaving an exposed turnbuckle. Canyon tries to throw Bagwell into the exposed turnbuckle, but he jumps over it, but gets caught into a sit-out Alabama slam, which I think looked fairly nice.
Yeah.
Canyon locks in a Cobra clutch, but Bagwell catches himself on the third hand drop, your favorite submission spot. Bagwell, now that he's beginning to fight back, goes for a hip toss, but it gets countered into a neckbreaker by Canyon. This match has been 80% Canyon beating up Buff Bagwell in front of Buff Bagwell's mom.
Poor Bagwell's mom.
Canyon goes for the Canyon cutter, but Bagwell pushes him off and Canyon gets sent to the exposed turnbuckle. Bagwell, then being the good guy he is, hits a flapjack onto the exposed turnbuckle.
What a good guy.
Yeah. But Canyon is able to kick out at 2. Bagwell goes to pick Canyon up, but he kicks him in the gut and hits the Canyon cutter. Bagwell kicks out at 2.
Kicking out of everyone's finisher.
This is the third match on the card.
We're just getting started.
Now that Bagwell is kicked out of the Canyon cutter, the greatest world champion in WCW history has to come out. Here comes David Arquette, ready to run interference for Canyon, his best friend. Apparently. They didn't really have much of a relationship before this, but Arquette has been a bad guy for a couple months, so they're going to do this.
Their relationship was not explained to us before this happened.
The extent of it would be that they acted similarly. Canyon's shut up during his promo was lifted directly from Arquette after Arquette turned heel. That was how Arquette said shut up as well.
Well, the more you know.
So David Arquette comes out and he gives high five to Canyon, but little does Arquette know, coming out to celebrate with his friend is only serving as a distraction, allowing Bagwell to come back with 3 clotheslines. Bagwell then climbs to the top rope, where Arquette hits him in the back of the head with a hard hat.
Ow.
This causes Bagwell to fall back into the ring, where Canyon makes the cover, but Bagwell kicks out again.
My God, they're kicking out of everything. These spot monkeys.
He's fighting for his mom. He's got pressure here.
I'm doing this for you, Mom. I'm gonna kick this DDP wannabe.
I would also like to point out that this was supposed to be an on-a-pole match, and then was changed to the forklift match. But last I checked, the rules of that were always to get the item down. Not to pin the opponent.
How are you going to get a human being down? I mean,
they never explained that they had changed it to just be directly pinfall, but...
Well, then it doesn't make sense. This is so retarded. She can literally just probably jump down. Well, no, it's a little high. Kinda. I feel like she can get down on her own.
Well, she's tied to the forklift.
Easily. Well, yeah. Yeah. But this is like a hostage situation.
Huh. It's
I
great.
can't worry about the safety of Buff Bagwell's mom on the show.
Well, don't worry about her too much. She won the tag titles later.
Oh, God. Why'd you remind me?
Canyon goes to throw Bagwell into Arquette again, but Bagwell stops himself and throws Arquette into the ring. Canyon and Arquette then take control, as you would, with 2-on-1 scenario. And they go to throw, and they Irish whip Bagwell off the ropes, and he clotheslines both of them. He then hits them both with a double blockbuster. Impressive given his physique, and gets a 3 count in 6 minutes and 45 seconds. Slightly faster than it took Ernest Miller to beat Great Muta.
I like how Canyon has interference for himself, but he loses because of that.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Now that Bagwell has won the match, he goes out, lowers the forklift, and hugs his mom. Canyon gets up and gives David Arquette a hug before hitting David Arquette with the Canyon Cutter.
You know, okay, so I'm thinking of this. How would they get her on a pole? Would she be tied onto a pole? And how would they get her down?
That's probably why it was changed to a forklift. In reality.
Well, you would think that you would be thinking of this before you would even come up with the match idea. You would think, but I mean, look who's booking the show.
Well, I mean, we've already had Viagra on a pole and Pinata on a pole, so.
Well, I mean, a human on a pole is kind of a little different to that.
They were gonna impale her on the top of the pole. That was the plan.
Oh, well.
She's not gonna fall off that way.
Oh, well, there you go. Good God. Ow.
A police-escorted limo arrives with Lance Storm. getting probably the loudest reaction of the night when he opens that door.
Easy.
Yep. Lance Storm had recently won the WCW United States Championship, the Cruiserweight Championship, and the Hardcore Championship, changing the United States title to the Canadian Championship belt, the Cruiserweight Championship into the World Canadian Wrestling Light Heavyweight belt, and the Hardcore belt into the World Canadian Wrestling Modified Rules belt.
Amazing names.
Yeah. I actually got the last two wrong for certain. I'm going to look these up so I can make sure they're right. I know the United States was changed to the Canadian. This here. Regardless, he has arrived, and the crowd is incredibly excited. The announcers then come in to inform us very somberly that Goldberg was in a motorcycle accident, and he might not make it tonight. He wasn't.
Well, LOL.
But never mind that. It's time for the Four Corners match. It's Chronic versus the Perfect Event versus Sean O'Haire and Mark Jindrak versus the Misfits in Action.
I just want to say there's one word to describe this. Well, I guess two. It's clusterfuck. That's what this was.
Don't worry, though. On top of those four teams, we've also got multiple referees. The Filthy Animals are our referee for this match.
Yay.
Disco informs us right off the bat that he's sure everyone in this match wants to kick his ass. But if he does, they will be disqualified, heavily fined, and will be wrestling polar bears in Alaska for the next 6 months.
How does he get them to wrestle polar bears?
In Alaska for the next 6 months?
Yeah.
Well, and obviously he's been granted all the authority in the world.
I guess. But how do you get the polar bear to wrestle you for 6 months straight?
It's not important. It's Disco.
I feel like it is.
It's Disco Inferno. He knows what he's talking about.
I guess so.
I'm sure Canyon would be able to explain it better. Who better at booking matches against polar bears than Canyon?
Oh, God.
He also clarifies that the same goes for every other member of the Filthy Animals here for this match. That's important to keep in mind. So the match begins, and right off the bat, Conan, doing special guest commentary, informs us that everyone in the ring is boring and sucks. He's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong. It's not wrong.
There's the possible exception of Sean O'Haire, but that's about it.
Right.
We also hear "Got It Like That" at least 30 times too many. Regarding the story, it's the Filthy Animals are attacking everyone whenever they come anywhere near them, and Disco is counting all of the pinfalls really slowly.
Slower than Earl Hefner.
Chuck Palumbo, throughout the course of this match, hits possibly the worst super kicks ever hit. Sean O'Haire, as I said before, probably impressed me the most out of anyone in this match. He actually did moves decently well, including landing on his feet, doing a 450, doing a catching sit-out powerbomb out of a dropkick. Remember that spot. You'll see it another 30 times tonight.
Yeah.
Tigress runs into the ring and hits a Bronco Buster on General Rection. Rey Mysterio also goes to hit a Bronco Buster on General Erection, but General Erection gets his foot up, and Rey runs right into it, getting a low blow. General Erection now has to fight polar bears for 6 months. The match continues. And continues.
And continues. And continues.
Palumbo locks in a sleeper hold on Colonel Cajun. The crowd begins chanting bullshit. At this point, it becomes apparent that for some reason the story of this fatal four-way tag team match has become that Sean O'Haire, Mark Jindrak, and the Perfect Event, Sean Stasiak and Chuck Palumbo, are working together to try to beat either Chronic or the Misfits in Action, encouraging each other to pin them. Not attempting to break it up, not attempting to stop submissions.
Nope.
As if this is an elimination match. It's not.
This show. Anyways.
Anyway, the Misfits in Action begin making their comeback as Colonel Cajun makes the hot tag to General Erection. In case you're wondering what General Erection's first name is, it's Edward.
Edward General Erection?
It's General Erection.
What a
It was a Vince Russo name.
Of course it was.
Before that, though, General Erection had the name of Hugh Morris.
Oh my god.
And he went on to train students at the WWE Performance Center under his real name, Bill DeMott.
This poor soul just can't get lucky anyway.
He's making his big comeback, and all the crowd is saying is, "We want Bret." Because they're in Canada, and Bret Hart's not there.
This was way after his Goldberg incident, right?
He was injured in Starrcade of 1999, which was the previous year. He had a couple matches on Thunder and Nitro after that, but then he retired.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. But they were marketing that Bret Hart would be there that night on the Canadian TV stations and such.
Well, they are liars.
Yeah. Ray and Guerrera attack MIAs. They get knocked out of the ring. Same thing they've been doing all match. Suddenly, the Dark Carnival, Vampiro, and the Great Muta run in. And that prevents Chronic from doing their double choke slam on Chuck Palumbo. If you could keep up with anything that was going on before in this incredibly boring match, you now can't. Chuck Palumbo rolls up Brian Clark of Chronic, but he kicks out due to Disco's incredibly slow count. Clark hits his power slam finisher, but Disco refuses to count the 3 because he doesn't want to fight Chronic tomorrow night. Chronic threatens to hit them as Lieutenant Loco, part of the Misfits in Action group, runs out, takes out Disco as Chronic hit a double choke slam. Lunatic Loco then drapes the referee's shirt over the top of his head and counts the 3 for Chronic. Again, Lieutenant Loco is part of the Misfits in Action. Another team in this fatal 4-way match.
Another one. which you lose count.
So he counted the 3, ensuring his team lost.
I'm done. I'm done. I hate the show. I hate the show so much. I don't even have words to describe how much I hate this show.
It's okay though, because MIA is happy Chronic won, and they didn't. And they hug.
This makes no fucking sense. Let's have a turn just cause.
cut backstage to an interview with Jeff Jarrett, making his debut on our podcast.
Oh. Yay.
She asks what his plan is for Booker T tonight. He cuts her off, asking Blondie where Okerlund is. Asking if she wore his ass out last night. He then informs her that Booker T better have eyes in the back of his head because he's going to come after him as soon as he gets there, and he's going to win the title tonight. Choke on that, Barbie. Then walks away. What did you think of this interview?
I absolutely loved every second of it.
Best interview ever, okay.
Yes, of course.
Now we move on to the next match. Shane Douglas versus Billy Kidman in a strap match. You may remember Billy Kidman as the guy who beat John Cena with a shooting star press to the hand.
Oh.
From Rebellion.
Yes. The guy who had the best shooting star press ever.
Yes.
Where it looked like he barely got over it every single time he did it.
Yes. He's here to fight Shane Douglas, fresh off of beating Hulk Hogan 2 months ago. Yes, Billy Kidman pinned Hulk Hogan.
I remember this. It's as stupid then as it is now.
Yeah. Billy Kidman was in a relationship with Tori, his girlfriend, Tori Wilson. However, she left him to be with Shane Douglas because Shane Douglas had more money.
Gold digger.
Once Tori left him, he threatened to show a sex tape he and Tori had recorded together. Shane Douglas, being Tori's current boyfriend, was not okay with this. This makes him the bad guy.
I can. I don't even know what to say.
Well, you see, the target audience for WCW is the late teens, early 20s male demographic. And they want to see sex tapes. Shane Douglas is keeping them from seeing sex tapes, bro. It makes perfect sense, bro.
Bro, are you kidding me? I'm done. I hate this fucking show. Well, I hate everything. And everything.
It actually works because all the crowd is chanting the whole time Shane Douglas and Tori are out there is "We want porn."
Times have changed, fellas. Times have changed.
This is Shane Douglas is accepting Billy Kidman's challenge for the strap match. Kidman comes out, and we begin the strap match. They roll around with the strap for a little bit, awkwardly doing moves that you really shouldn't be doing while tied together with a leather strap. They trip each other. They pull each other with the strap. Things happen. At some point, Kidman is in control, but Tori distracts him by getting up on the apron, and this allows Shane Douglas to pull up on the leather strap, lightly sending it into Kidman's groin area, debilitating him. This takes out Kidman for a little bit, allowing Shane Douglas to hit a reverse perfect snap, which is what I call the neck breaker, where you run forward and you essentially slam your opponent's head into the mat. As Shane is doing it reverse, Kidman is lying down, and Shane is pulling his head back. The problem is Kidman's head goes back to a perfectly normal position, so it doesn't look like it hurts.
Right.
At all.
Ow.
Oh. All that's happened is Shane Douglas has done a flip. Tori chokes Kidman on the ring rope. Shane then throws Kidman onto the top rope, crotching him on the ropes, Kidman fights back with a series of punches. He does a middle rope Hurricane Rana with a leather strap. Doesn't look very good. Followed by a sit-out spine buster, which the announcers call a power bomb.
Oh, I love that. Like when Michael Cole called a Dirty Deeds a pedigree.
Great.
It's always great. Did you know a power slam is actually a choke slam?
Really?
Yeah.
Well, last I checked, a choke slam was a tombstone pile driver.
Oh, well, last time I checked, the tombstone pile driver was a shooting star press.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
The choke slam one is a real mistake someone made. With The Undertaker, he choke slammed Steve Austin, and they called it the tombstone pile driver.
Was it Cole?
I wouldn't say it was cool. It was a choke slam. It was a normal choke slam.
Oh no, it was a Cole. So I meant to say.
No, it was not Cole. It was a backstage interviewer in '97.
Well, that doesn't surprise me either.
Shane Kidman is fully in control here, throwing Shane around and ripping his shirt off. Kidman is hitting Shane with the strap repeatedly. Tori Wilson takes off her shoe, to which Mark Madden says she's turned heel. Tori tries to hit Kidman with the shoe, but he ducks, and she hits Shane instead. Shane Douglas kicks out at 2. Shane guillotines Kidman onto the top rope, where he just throws him up in the air and he lands neck first on the ropes. Actually looks okay. He goes for the Pittsburgh Plunge, which is his WCW finisher. It's a fisherman brainbuster with a bridge. Sounds neat in concept. Goes for it, but Billy Kidman rolls through and into an inside cradle. Tori Wilson gets in the ring and pushes him over, allowing Shane Douglas to be on top, and he then rolls through into the Pittsburgh Plunge. Probably the best looking moment of the entire match. However, Kidman kicks out at 2.
God, these spot monkeys. Kicking out at 2, all these freaking moves.
Billy Kidman shoves Shane Douglas into Tori, who stands there as Shane Douglas acts really sorry that he hit her, and she wonders what he's talking about. Kidman then grabs Shane Douglas his arms from behind, turns him around, and hits the Kid Crusher, which Christian would later use as the Unprettier. Meanwhile, as he's hitting the Kid Crusher, Tori Wilson finally realizes she's supposed to be hurt, grabs her chest, and slowly sits down. Meanwhile, Billy Kidman pins Shane Douglas for the 3 count in 8 minutes and 22 seconds.
I don't even want... I'm done. I'm done.
We're only halfway there.
I want to be done.
We're only halfway there.
Please be done.
We're only halfway there.
Please be done.
I'm sorry.
Again, whoever did this, whoever picked this fucking show, I hate you so much. You are literally, I don't know, something bad. That's what you are.
Something bad.
You are literally something bad. That's what you are.
Okay. Tori Wilson enters the ring with the chair, ready to hit Kidman. Kidman stops her and begins spanking her with the strap. Shane Douglas then takes Billy Kidman and starts hanging him off the top rope. Vito runs in and chases Shane Douglas off, but then Rito runs in to attack Vito. Vito manages to fight back and chases off Rito. I really wish I was eating a bag of Fritos chips while I was saying that sentence, but I'm not.
Oh. Well, you failed us all. Or Doritos. Could it be eating Doritos?
Fritos Doritos mix.
Yeah. Good mix.
cut back to the parking lot where Booker T is arriving. But Jeff Jarrett is right there, and he hits him from behind and repeatedly slams the car door onto Booker T's leg. Incredibly vicious and actually well executed. Good job.
It was.
They did 2 good things so far.
What was the first one?
The ladder match.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we are only halfway through. Kill me.
We cut to we're now ready for the next match. Major Guns versus Miss Hancock. You get her name, Major Guns?
Yeah, I get it.
You get the name, bro?
I got it, bro.
It's very clever,
it's
bro.
Dude, I've never heard anything funnier in my life than what you just told me.
Miss Hancock, of course, goes on to greater success in WWE as Stacy Keibler.
Thankfully, she would do something better than this.
So, this match did not have its rules explained either.
What match has? That's my question. What match besides the ladder match? Well, even then.
Well, I mean, the strap match functioned as a strap match, except as the announcers put it, this isn't one of those strap matches where you drag your opponent to all 4 corners. So that just meant it was the strap match rules where you could pin them.
And the Judy on a
forklift match.
On a forklift pull match really wasn't explained either.
Well, this is the Mud Rip Off the Clothes match. That is what it is billed as.
Which wasn't explained either.
Well, you see, when I first hear that, I think, okay, so it's a bra and panties, because the announcers are going on, you have to take off the camouflage. I say, okay, that's fine. Then they start going for covers and pinfalls without taking off anything. And I say, okay, so I guess it's a normal match. Then, after Hancock takes off Major Gun's top, the announcers say that you also have to go into the mud at some point.
Nothing is explained. What?
So, the rules are, you can pin someone in the ring, but I guess you don't win if you do, because you have to do it in the mud.
I want to take my head and bash it through my wall right now. You don't understand. People at home that are listening to this and have not seen this show, please don't watch it. Save yourself.
You want to know something horrible?
No.
This is the second time I watched this show in full.
Oh my god, what's wrong with you?
The first time was when the network first showed up, and I was dead set on watching the worst shows you could possibly watch, just to prove I could get through them, and this was what I started with.
What did you end up with? That was like the worst show that you saw.
There's a few other shows, but I'm not going to bring those up.
Please don't, because then somebody else would want to request it, and then you're going to pick it because you hate me. And I did nothing to deserve this, Titan. I did nothing. I haven't done anything.
They're continuing their mud take off the clothes match, where Major Gun takes off Hancock's one-piece camouflage. However, Hancock has been smart, and not only is she wearing the one-piece, she's wearing a top and bottom underneath that as well. Actually being smart, wearing more than just the standard pieces of clothing. But that little bit of cleverness is completely overshadowed by the rest of this match.
The rest of the show.
The rest of everything.
The rest of everything in this company that happens from a certain point on out.
Hancock is in control, and she goes running into Major Guns, who kicks her in the stomach. This causes Hancock to hold her stomach in pain for a few seconds, but she recovers. There's a horrible kick out. The referee just stops counting, and then they kick out.
That was great.
Hancock runs towards Major Guns. Major Guns drops to the ground. Hancock, now that Major Guns has dropped to the ground, waits for a few seconds, and then does a crossbody to the air. Successfully.
Proud of you.
Yeah. However, this hurts her stomach even more. So she rolls out of the ring where Major Guns follows. But Guns gets shoved into the post, and she then rips her skirt off. It's then the announcers are going, but you have to go into the mud.
You have to go into the mud.
So they start going up the ramp. Guns rips off Hancock's top and charges towards Hancock, who's leaning against the pool of mud. She back body drops Major Guns into the pool of mud. So she has now met the win condition of a mud match, which is put them in the mud. The match continues as Hancock is pulled into the pool of mud, and they fight in the mud for a little bit. Hancock takes control and is actually winning, and she even does a dance for the crowd. However, mid-dance, her stomach suddenly really hurts again, and she clutches it. Hancock takes advantage of this opportunity and pushes her over and pins her.
What? How?
Now you see, this doesn't get fully explained on the show. The idea is that as a result of this match, Mrs. Hancock's real name Stacy Keebler has had a miscarriage mid-match. A real miscarriage, as you see the announcers start going on and referring to her as Stacy Keebler, saying this wasn't planned on any of this, holding up a script at the announce table. Here's the problem with this. It was entirely planned.
But, like...
and it's a miscarriage.
How does a miscarriage make your stomach hurt? I don't know, I'm not a woman, so maybe I shouldn't comment on
It's
this.
just really, really interesting that we got a real miscarriage going on in the middle of a match here.
Yeah, it's really fascinating.
And then it's not. It's a worked shoot, bro.
It's a shoot, bro.
Yeah.
It's a shoot.
Oh.
I put David Arquette as my champion, because I'm a shoot.
Major Guns is actually concerned, and Stacy Keebler's real-life boyfriend, David Flair, comes out. Because the audience knows about David Flair and Stacy Keebler's relationship. No, they don't.
Definitely know. I know I knew.
Oh. You can tell the crowd cares, because while they're all concerned over Stacy, David, and Major Guns, all the crowd is saying is woo.
Oh my.
Cut backstage to Vampiro and the rest of the Dark Carnival, including the Demon.
Fuck the Demon.
The Demon was originally named the Kiss Demon and debuted during a Kiss concert on an episode of Monday Nitro. He then proceeded to lose pretty much every match he was in. However, as part of his contract, he was guaranteed one main event pay-per-view match.
And this was it?
As such, his match with Sting at New Blood Rising was announced as a special main event match to fulfill the conditions of his contract.
Oh, I hate this so much, Titan. I hate this so much.
It's okay. Vampiro has been trying to recruit the Demon for a while. He has shed his The Kiss Demon name because it's not dark enough for the Dark Carnival. So he's now just The Demon. However, he still has the Kiss face paint. Vampiro says that this is his big test to prove he has a dark heart.
How's this a bit? I'm done. Nope, not gonna. I'm done questioning. Nope, done. I'm not gonna question anything. I realize that you can't question anything that happens on the show, so I'm not going to.
And he tells him that this is his last chance. The Demon smiles and heads out to the ring. As I said earlier, we cut back to Stacy Keibler being wheeled to an ambulance. She is no longer Miss Hancock, she is Stacy Keibler. And the announcers, they're going on about how serious this is. None of this was planned. None of this was expected. They don't say it's a miscarriage. That's not revealed until the episode Nitro. They're just... This is a serious medical issue. It wasn't planned on any of this.
So if it was like serious, why would they be showing her like getting wheeled to the ambulance?
Because the audience is concerned. Supposedly.
But like Enzo Amore, remember when he got injured at Payback, and everyone thought it was an actual thing, and everyone was actually seriously worrying for him. Like they didn't show him get put into the ambulance.
Don't use logic. You're using logic here.
I know I am. I know, and that's my downfall of this whole show. Is that I'm using logic, which is my problem.
We've got to get ready here. Demon makes his way to the ring first, and then Sting makes his way out of the rafters to his best theme song.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't hate his WWE one. But it wasn't this good.
Demon is ready to attack Sting right away as soon as Sting hits the ground. Except Sting immediately takes control. Throws the Demon into the barricade a few times. Throws him back into the ring. Hits a Stinger Splash in the corner and a Scorpion Death Drop for a 3 count in 52 seconds. This was the end of the Demon, as you may be able to tell.
I wasn't sure. I thought he was going to have a major title run after this.
The particular reason being was Eric Bischoff was the one who brought in the Kiss Demon. He's the one who filled out Kiss Demon's whole contract. Eric Bischoff lost a lot of power.
Yeah.
And no one else was a big fan of it.
Yeah.
So it was quickly...
You know what's funny is that they actually have this whole match up on YouTube.
This full match?
Yeah.
Sting versus the Demon?
Sting versus the Demon is like on WWE's YouTube.
Really? Well, okay. Well, if you want to watch anything, that's the shortest thing.
I think it might be like the only match on the show that's on YouTube. So, if you wanted to see the little taste that we had to watch the whole thing of, here you go.
Yep. The Dark Carnival runs out as Vampiro has been feuding with Sting for months, including the legendary Human Torch match, which Vampiro had won. And they are continuing to feud. So they're out here to take out Sting. And they try hanging him with his cord on the ramp. But Chronic run out to make the save. And now that Chronic has saved Sting, they're sure to let everyone know that they've heard that Vancouver is down with Chronic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, if you ladies are prepared, you can have a tag title match later tonight.
Yay.
Here's my question. Why? Why does the Dark Carnival get a tag title match? Why tonight?
Are you really asking this after telling me not to use logic?
Chronic had a match earlier. Great Muta had a match earlier. Chronic is defending their titles again for no reason.
Are you kidding me? You just told me not to use logic, and now you're using logic?
Well, I figure something like this has to be brought up.
Well, that's wrong.
Okay, Chronic just gives a tag title match again tonight. We get one more match on the show.
Fuck.
Drag the show out an extra 15 minutes.
Why? We still have, 4 matches to go?
Let me be sure here. 4 matches, yes.
Oh, God.
We're 7 matches through.
I'm just gonna say this now. My pick is easily gonna be a lot better than this one.
Oh, I think you could know nothing about it, and you have a 99.6% chance of picking a better show.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I could, just go randomly in the WWE Network, just random search, and I'd probably pick a better thing than this. Unless, I don't know, it was another WCW from the 2000s.
Even then, this is on the lower end of that.
Right.
So, I mean, the only thing you could probably pick worse than this is the September 25th, 2000 episode of Nitro.
Right.
But nobody's going to pick that one.
Nobody is, and nobody should. Oh, God.
Now they have a specific show. We cut backstage to Booker T, who's still hurt from Jeff Jarrett's attack. And he just demands the cameraman get out of there, as does his doctor. This was useful.
It was really useful.
We are now ready for Mike Awesome versus Lance Storm for the Canadian/US Heavyweight Championship. This match is under Canadian rules, Canadian Championship rules, as dictated by Lance Storm.
What are Canadian Championship rules?
Well, you see, it was never explained going into this show. Lance Storm had a few matches with Mike Awesome before this, and his condition for having another match with Mike Awesome, because you quite frankly don't deserve it, is this time we're going to have the match under my terms, under my rules. So, Canadian Championship rules.
I didn't know Canadian Championship rules was a thing.
Well, now you do.
Yay!
Yeah. So, Mike Awesome comes out to a deafening chorus of boos. As Tony Schiavone assures us, this crowd respects Awesome because of a good wrestler. They just are booing him because they like Lance Storm more. Lance Storm comes out, and the crowd love him.
So he's basically Roman Reigns?
In Canada. In general, in the U.S., Mike Awesome got a 40-60 reaction, so slightly better than Roman.
Yeah.
Of course, it dropped quickly after this because 2 weeks later he became the Fat Chick Thriller. And then that 80s guy.
Yeah.
He stopped being serious just a couple weeks after this.
I'm so happy I watched this show.
Lance Storm is happy that he's here in front of real wrestling fans, instead of those ingrates in the United States. The crowd begins chanting, "US sucks." And I have to say, after how much of how great America is I've dealt with on my TV for the past few years, I loved every second of this.
Right.
Yeah. Just soaking in, Canada's pretty great, too.
Yeah, Canada's not bad.
and the announcers are, except for Mark Madden, going on, "Oh, is America really that bad? I mean, I think they're overreacting here."
They're just overreacting a little bit.
Storm answers the question people were asking. Why do you have so many police with you? Why do you have a whole security team back there? He's worried that irrational Americans are going to cause a terrorist attack backstage because he has the American Championship title. Which, to be fair, we probably would.
Yeah, we would.
So, tonight, he's going to do what he does best, and that's defeat another American hero, I guess, and Mike Awesome. Apparently, Mike Awesome's all for just America as a whole now, because he's from America. American hero.
I am American, so I am defending American.
Yep. But before the match can start, Lance Storm invokes Rule 32B of Canadian Championship rules, which dictates that as champion, he can select a referee for this match. And he selects a great Canadian who has done a lot for this industry. Jacques Rougeau.
Yay!
The crowd, of course, is chanting, "We want Brett," during this whole build-up. It's Jacques Rougeau.
Yay!
Jacques Rougeau, to be fair, is a respected Canadian wrestler. He's done a fair amount.
Didn't he train Kevin Steen?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's also a multi-time tag champion, so he's done stuff. To be fair, you can have much worse names than Jacques Rougeau.
For sure, but when you say like Jacques Rougeau, you're like, oh. Okay.
Jacques Rougeau brings with him a physical copy of the Canadian rule book, which Lance Storm has in his possession to this day because he loves it. They actually filled out rules in the rule book too. It's great. Before the match can start, we get the Canadian national anthem. And I love it.
Oh, this is great.
The match starts, and Mike Awesome's in control pretty quickly. In fact, he's pretty much beating up Lance Storm a lot of the time here. Lance Storm does fight back briefly with a super kick, and then throwing Awesome into the ring post. But Awesome throws Storm out of the ring. And as Mike Awesome gets a table, ECW chants start up.
For reasons.
Well, ECW was popular at the time, and Mike Awesome was from ECW, so I can actually see logic in this chant starting up.
Well, yeah, it took me a second to realize, like, what the fuck are they chanting? Oh, yeah, that's right. Mike Awesome is ECW.
Awesome goes for a powerbomb through the table, but Storm pushes him off into the barricade, throws him back into the ring, and hits a beautiful springboard dropkick.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That was really good, actually.
Lance Storm goes for a springboard cross body, but Awesome catches it and hits an overhead belly-to-belly suplex. Mike Awesome then goes to the top rope and falls off. The crowd erupts into laughter as Mike Awesome pops up to his feet and hits Lance Storm with the clothesline. Lance Storm gets sent off the ropes by Mike Awesome, but he goes up for a drop kick, which Mike Awesome catches into a powerbomb. This is the fourth time we've seen this tonight, the drop kick into a powerbomb. However, off of this drop kick into a powerbomb, it gets a 2 count. However, the bell rings. The referee says no, it doesn't count, and then raises Mike Awesome's hand. So it does count. But wait! Jacques reveals that in the Canadian rule book, you require a 5 count. So the match continues, and the crowd erupts in joy. Lance Storm goes for a sunset flip, but Mike Awesome catches it and turns it into an Alabama slam. He then puts Lance Storm in a Dragon Sleeper, and Lance Storm taps out. But wait! According to the Canadian rules, in Canadian Championship matches, submissions do not count. Pinfalls only.
And Bret Hart would be screwed.
So, the match continues. Lance Storm hits a Northern Lights suplex. But Mike Awesome's quickly back, hitting a big German suplex, followed by a catapult shoulder block over the ropes. And then a awesome splash, that's the name of it, off the top rope, which gets him the 5 count. But wait! Jacques points out, according to the Canadian rulebook, that following a 5 count, you have until the count of 10 to get to your feet. Lance Storm manages to get up at 7. And the match continues. I mean, quite frankly, it's really upsetting how little of the Canadian rules the referee counting the pins knew. It's really upsetting.
Right.
Going into a match, you should know the rules. You need to fire the referee who's ringing the bell all these times. Match continues, following Storm getting up, as per Canadian Championship rules. Lance Storm hits a low blow on the outside, followed by a chair shot to the head. He rolls Mike Awesome into the ring, but he only gets a 4 count. Doesn't get the 5. Lance Storm goes up top to hit an elbow through a table, but Mike Awesome goes up there with him and hits a belly-to-belly through the table. We then learn that in the event where both competitors are knocked down, according to Canadian Championship rules, the first man to get to his feet by the count of 10 is the winner. So, Jacques Rougeau gets into the ring to help the referee count. He makes sure that the current referee counts Lance Storm, while he makes sure that Mike Awesome's count is also maintained. Mike Awesome gets up at a count of 7, but Jacques Rougeau punches him in the face, which the other referee never saw, and Mike Awesome falls back down. Lance Storm gets up at the count of 9 and wins the match.
Thank God.
And the crowd erupts in joy. I really liked this match.
It was fun.
I thought it was fun. I thought it was a ton of fun.
It was a lot. I mean, compared to everything else on the show, it was probably the best match as far as just pure entertainment, because everything else was like, I want to kill myself. But this was really ridiculous and silly, but compared to everything else, easy. It was easy better than everything else.
Lance Storm was really concerned going into this match about if anyone would still buy him as credible after he got beat 4 different times.
Right.
But it was okay. They still loved it afterwards. And then Bret Hart comes out.
Finally.
And what is he going to do? What is his reaction to all of this? Well, he raises Lance Storm's hand, letting everyone know that Lance Storm is the future of Canadian wrestling. Lance Storm's push would end a couple of weeks later.
Oh my God, it's so sad.
It really is, because Lance Storm genuinely, a lot of people don't see a lot of his stuff. He's a fantastic wrestler. He's trained a ton of people.
Oh yeah. And then this happens.
Yeah, but he's not very charismatic. And that's kind of his downfall. when it comes to his time in WWE.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, as I said, I really liked this. Just the right amount of ridiculous.
It was ridiculous.
Cut backstage to an interview with Kevin Nash. They ask about what he feels given Goldberg's motorcycle accident and that he might not be there tonight. Nash says, well, the motorcycle accident's one thing, but Goldberg's real accident was getting me mad. So, I'm not sure I believe this motorcycle accident. I think he's ducking me. But whether he's ducking me or not, one thing is for sure tonight. I'm going over.
They're using backstage talk in front of the stage.
Oh. Cut to Dark Carnival versus Chronic. It's a match.
I don't want to. It was a thing that happened in life.
I think it's somehow worse than the Four Corners match earlier.
Somehow, I don't know how, but somehow it was.
It's shorter, thankfully. Chronic dominates. Then
it feels like it was longer. I don't know why.
Then the Dark Carnival takes control of Bryan Adams for a whole 3 minutes, which is, of course, long enough to build up the sympathy for a hot tag, which happens. Brian Clark comes in. He does his power slam, the meltdown on Vampiro. Muta, instead of going for the pin on Vampiro, he then goes after Muta, who tries spraying the mist into Clark's eyes, but he ducks. And it goes into the ref's eyes. So the ref is down. He can't see anything. And then the Harris brothers from ECW. They come out.
Yay.
Yeah. And they take out Chronic with the Ace Bomb. Muta then hits his moonsault and gets the 3 count over Brian Clark in 9 minutes and 6 seconds.
Well, it was a thing that happened.
Cut backstage to Booker T's interview with a robot. She asks him the following. We know your heart will hold up, but will your knee?
And you thought WWE was bad.
Booker lets her know that he said it once, he'll say it again. If Jeff Jarrett wants the World Heavyweight title back, he is going to have to kill Booker T. And Booker T is currently still alive, so he is not going to give the belt to Jeff Jarrett just yet. I mean, it's not the best promo, but it carries the message enough, I think.
Sure.
Right. Cut to the first match of the night to get a promotional video explaining what's happening, and it doesn't explain what's happening.
My God.
All it really is clips of Goldberg, Steiner, and Nash saying they don't like each other.
Yeah. I don't like you. You don't like me. Let's fight.
I don't like him either.
Yeah, I don't like you either. Let's fight.
Oh.
And let's try to follow the rules.
Oh. And again, we get all of the will they be professional. As Kevin Nash makes his way to the ring, Tony Schiavone feels the need to ask what's going to happen tonight. Is it going to be what's right for WCW or what's best for one of the 3 men involved in this match?
What is right for WCW?
Who knows? As Kevin Nash is making his way to the ring, the announcers begin speculating on who they think is going to win this match. They then detail that they know Vince Russo doesn't like one of the 3 guys involved in this match. And that Kevin Nash has a political stroke backstage. So he's likely going to win.
Yeah, what did you know?
This is a very interesting thing for your commentators to be saying.
Right.
Before a match. 90% of the audience has no clue what they're talking about.
Yeah, like, probably about 95%.
Yeah.
At least watching at the time.
And this is just, okay, like, I'm just sitting wide-eyed at how ridiculous it is.
When they said that, I was like, what? When was this brought up?
Suddenly just everything going on in front of me isn't real anymore.
Oh my god. Wait, what?
Yeah. So Steiner and Nash come out, and Goldberg's music plays. But he's not there. Then his music plays again. But he's not there. So it's determined that the motorcycle accident must have kept him from appearing. So Kevin Nash and Scott Steiner begin to have their match. Scott Hudson, as this match is going on and Nash hits a big boot, makes a comment that since Goldberg isn't here, and they're not going to be able to follow the proper plan, that this is probably going to turn into a shoot fight.
Like, yeah, they keep on using shoot to go heel, going over. It's like, what? Like, half the people that watch the show don't know what that means.
Everyone reads the dirt sheets, bro.
Everyone reads the dirt sheets, bro. Bro, people love the backstage stuff.
No, but even still, as someone who does look into the backstage stuff nowadays, yeah, I don't want to watch Raw and be told, well, Big Show said that John Cena is overpushed.
Right.
And that if the company just got behind him...
the company just got
and gave him the push he needs.
Yeah, right? Like, I don't want to hear about that.
I don't want to hear the announcers saying this. Kevin Nash drops Scott Steiner onto the barricade, but here comes Goldberg down the ramp with a steel chair, wrapped in bandages, obviously hurt from his motorcycle crash, which is why he's wrapped in bandages, to which Scott Hudson says, I thought that accident was legitimate. Because if it was, he wouldn't be here at all.
No.
So Goldberg is faking this, but he's hurt in kayfabe. But not really, because he's here. I love it.
I hate it.
It's sarcasm.
I hate it. I know it is.
Scott Steiner comes in, hits a clothesline and an elbow drop on Goldberg. Goldberg pops back up with a jumping shoulder block and a crescent kick. Same move that took out Bret Hart, but didn't take out anyone else. Kevin Nash gets back in the ring, and they have a brief stare down between Goldberg and Nash. As Nash and Goldberg begin to fight, the announcers explain that the reason Goldberg and Nash don't like each other is Goldberg had a big undefeated streak, and Nash was the booker and put himself over Goldberg.
Like, kayfabe into, like, this, no.
Which is why they don't like each other now.
But nobody knows this. Nobody needs to know that. Nobody wants to know that Nash was the booker. And, like, well, I mean, people do know, like, that's cool to know now, but nobody wants to know that, like, you know.
As a reason to have a match.
Yeah.
So Nash takes down Goldberg. Steiner gets back in, hits Nash with a belly-to-belly. Goldberg hits a butterfly suplex on Steiner. Then we have a double clothesline spot between Goldberg and Nash. Nash clotheslines both Steiner and Goldberg, hits a big boot on Goldberg, and sets Goldberg up for the jackknife powerbomb. But Goldberg pushes him away and then walks off. Vince Russo comes out to see what's going on. And he's telling Goldberg to go back to the ring. But Goldberg gives him the middle finger and continues walking away. What is this, man? What's going on? Is this real, bro?
Or is this a shoot, bro?
The announcers begin trying to figure out what happened there and why Goldberg would walk off mid-match. And they come to the conclusion that Goldberg was supposed to go up for the jackknife powerbomb, but didn't want to lose.
So dumb.
So, we cut back into the ring, where we get a impressive backbreaker from Scott Steiner to Kevin Nash, but that doesn't matter right now, because the announcers are super concerned. Because if the jackknife powerbomb, to quote Tony Schiavone here exactly, figured into this design, what are these two going to do now? Improvise?
What?
I don't think there's any words at this point.
That's why I'm not saying anything, because it's like, what the fuck am I going to say? I'm just so happy that there's one match left.
Yeah. The match continues. Kevin Nash
that's the sad part.
Goes for a choke slam, but Madesha, Scott Steiner's manager/girlfriend, gets in the ring and gives him a low blow. She's not supposed to be here. She's going into business for herself, the announcers tell us. But Kevin Nash gives a low blow to Goldberg. Well, Kevin Nash gives a low blow to Steiner, not Goldberg. And then Madesha gets back in the ring and gives an elbow drop to Nash's groin. Steiner goes for the pin, but Nash kicks out. And Nash, out of desperation because he doesn't know what spots he's supposed to do now, hits a DDT. The announcers commend him for working on the fly.
This is so dumb. So fucking dumb.
Madesha breaks up the pin, and Steiner goes for a sleeper.
What if you were like that one kid that like still thought wrestling was real and you like heard all of this?
Well, my 10-year-old self wouldn't have any clue what they're talking about because they sound completely different than they do the rest of the show.
Well, that's true, but I mean, come on. Come on.
It's... I don't know, like, you can make an argument for all sorts of things.
You can't
but
make
this
an
is
argument for that.
probably... This is up there as far as the worst decision WCW ever made.
It's up there. Oh no, it's up there.
No. So, Nash is in the sleeper, but he shakes Steiner off, hits a big boot, and hits him with the jackknife. And as he hits the jackknife, Mark Madden makes sure to scream into the microphone that he went up for it, Goldberg.
I hate this so much.
And Kevin Nash gets the pin to become #1 contender for Booker T's title at Fall Brawl, in what we can assume will be another improvised match.
More improvised match, brothers.
Where there will be a script that they will be following. If I didn't know this before. Kevin Nash is celebrating his victory. The announcers make a passing mention that he's now the number one contender, but really focus on how professional Scott Steiner was for taking that loss when he wasn't even booked to.
Fucking kill me. I hate you, Vince Russo. I know you're not listening to this, but if you are, fuck you, and fuck you, and fuck you. Alright? Bye. Fuck you, Vince Russo.
We move on to the main event of the night, and we've got a promo for it. And even though the promo is all flashy and stuff, it does a well enough job telling the story. Booker T is the valiant hero, and Jeff Jarrett's the dastardly bad guy, cheating all the way. But this time it's real. There's no script to this one. The announcers are back.
This is a shoot?
The announcers are back in their normal voices again. We're not hearing any of that.
Oh, thank
the
God.
announcers are commentating on the devastating effects of the moves and stuff. It's an actual match now.
Thank you, Lord.
The last match apparently only had a script and everything else didn't.
Oh, okay.
There is a little bit of a botch here as Tony Schiavone is introducing the match. He says that they're going to be fighting over the tag team title. I don't want to see a third tag title match tonight, thank you.
I've seen two, and they're both awful.
Oh.
No more.
Yeah.
No more. No more.
Oh, we move on. It's time for Jeff Jarrett versus Booker T. With Booker having a really bad leg after it was attacked, not only on Nitro with a guitar, but just recently with the car door backstage. Booker T, though, he's here for the match. He's getting in the ring, and Jeff Jarrett immediately goes after him, kicking him in the leg. Booker T fights back and hits a big side kick followed by a super kick with his bad leg. The announcers point out that probably isn't a good idea to use your bad leg for these big kicks.
But fuck it.
Yep. Jeff Jarrett gets sent off the ropes and turn for an Irish whip, and he goes for a drop kick. Booker T counters it into a powerbomb. At this point, this is the 6th or 7th time we've seen it. Almost every match had that exact sequence. Drop kick into the powerbomb.
Oh yeah, which fucking Kenny Omega and Okada did that recently, and it was like a big deal because nobody's done it in forever.
Booker T, following this, is in control, and he repeatedly throws Jarrett into the barricade, and then he pulls Jeff Jarrett's groin into the ring post twice. Goes up for the missile drop kick, but he misses and lands on his bad leg, and this allows Jarrett to start working on the leg. He's kicking him in the leg, he's stomping on the leg, and Booker T is able to pull himself up in the corner, and he elbows Jarrett off when Jarrett comes in for a charge attack. But his leg is hurt so much he can't do much more past that, and that allows Jarrett to just trip him and ram his leg into the ring post repeatedly, before grabbing a chair and hitting Booker T in the leg with the chair against the ring post. All in front of the referee.
I guess there's just no disqualifications in WCW.
Then Booker T is hobbling away, but Jeff Jarrett takes the chair and hits Booker T in the back of his good leg. And then does a shin breaker on the barricade back onto the bad leg again. He rolls Booker back in the ring and he locks him in a Boston Crab. And I'll commend the match for this. It actually has tension. I like it. It's actually got tension in it. It's building the match well.
It's a first on this show.
Yes.
Still ended up sucking, but...
I would argue it sucked. I would argue that. I thought it was a solid 7 out of 10 match.
Oh, ooh, no.
3.5 star.
Ooh, no. We give like 2 stars.
2 stars. Okay.
Like
2 to 3.5.
Like, just
their Bash at the Beach match is better anyway, but I enjoyed this.
I really didn't. I think it was just the rest of the show was just that this was just terrible.
Booker's able to get to the ropes out of the Boston Crab, but as soon as he starts getting up again, he gets a chair to the back of his bad leg. And following this, Jeff Jarrett locks him into a figure 4. Booker T tries to roll through to reverse the pressure, but his leg hurts too much that he can't muster the strength to turn over, and every time he's about to, his leg gives out on him. This leads to him being locked in the figure 4 for about a minute. And eventually he has to slowly push himself with his arms to the ropes, as he can't turn himself over. You know, good storytelling here.
It's a first.
Yeah. He's able to start fighting back, and we get a double clothesline spot. Jarrett gets to his feet first, as he's taken far less punishment. He charges at Booker, but he catches him with a spine buster. He then hits his axe kick and does a spinneroonie perfectly fine, undercutting all of the good storytelling we just had.
Right.
Yeah. But as he does the spinneroonie, he hits the ref while getting up. Apparently. The ref kind of fell over as he stood up. Booker T realizes that Jeff Jarrett's probably up to his feet at this point, so he goes for his jumping sidekick, but Jarrett's got the guitar and he smashes it into Booker's leg, mid-sidekick. Again, he gets locked in the figure 4. Again, he gets the ropes. But this time, Jarrett holds it all the way until nearly a 5 count. Booker slowly rolls out of the ring. Jarrett goes for the World Heavyweight title, tries to hit Booker with it. Booker either ducks it or collapses, take your pick. And Jarrett ends up running into the referee. Following this, Jarrett tries to hit a stroke off the apron through a table, but Booker T is able to counter it with a Uranagi, which they call the bookend, despite Booker not going through with it, but it's okay.
Why not?
Yeah. Booker rolls Jarrett back in the ring and makes the cover at an incredibly slow pace, which gives Jarrett enough time to recover enough to put his foot on the rope. So, Booker T tries pulling Jarrett in. Jarrett tries crawling back out. And they meet. Jarrett's halfway out the ring. Booker's trying to pull him back in. And Jarrett gives him a low blow directly in front of the referee. The referee then goes to check on Jarrett, who hits him with a chair.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He then hits a stroke on the steel chair to Booker T and pins him. Charles Robinson runs out to the ring. He's the third referee here of this match. But Booker T, due to the delay of the referee getting there, is able to kick out.
This is just overbooked.
Yeah. Jarrett goes for another stroke, but Booker T is able to counter it into a neck breaker on the steel chair. But Jeff Jarrett is able to kick out now. Jeff Jarrett kicks Booker off and goes for a double axe handle, but Booker T catches it into the bookend position which Jarrett fights his way out with elbows. Jarrett goes to run off the ropes, but Booker grabs his arm, pulls him back, turns him around into a bookend, allowing him to get the pin in 14 minutes and 54 seconds. It was the longest match of the night, and it did not feel like it.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's a positive of it.
Yeah.
My biggest problem was just that it was overbooked. Like, it did not need to be that... Like, it was like... I mean, it was classic Vince Russo, where you just fucking do all the run-ins, all the ref bumps, everything. It was a classic main event match on a Vince Russo show. So, yeah.
We then have a solid 15 seconds of Booker T celebrating before we have to fade to black.
Right. I was like, wow, that was a quick end.
Yeah.
But thank God it's over.
So that was New Blood Rising.
Don't ask me my opinion of it.
It gets a 1.5 out of 10 in my book. For two good matches out of 11. Arguably 3 for the fun of the Canadian Rules match. So I'll probably book it up to a 2 out of 10.
It gets a negative 0.5 from me.
Negative 0.5. Okay.
The only thing that saved it was the opening match kind of being a spot fest. And then kind of the funness of the Canadian match. And everything else was really just whatever.
Okay.
Everything else was actually just bad, besides the main event, which was whatever.
So, the question for you here, the big debate. What was worse? Judy Bagwell on a pole, or the triple threat in terms of damaging WCW?
Oh, God. Probably the triple threat? Maybe? Just because of what it was doing, but, like, there's a good case for both. Is what I'm trying to say.
No. No, I don't know if this show would have nearly as bad of a reputation as it does if only one of those things happened on it.
Yeah.
But both happened. And when you add that to almost none of the matches being any good at all.
I think the pole match, or the forklift match, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, is probably what stands out to everyone when they think of this show, if they've seen it. If you've had the displeasure of seeing it.
Well, you don't even need to see it. You just hear you just hear Judy Bagwell on a pole match, and you go, well, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you hear Goldberg versus Kevin Nash versus Scott Steiner triple threat, and you go, that actually sounds okay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Listen,
so,
I mean, this whole
unless you watch this match, you're not going to know how horrible that is.
Yeah. Yeah. So you could be saved. But, like, okay, like, this whole, like, Kurt Angle thing, Jason Jordan as his son, isn't as bad as what I watched here, so I can't complain about that.
Wait, are people complaining about Jason Jordan being his son?
I think people just think it's...
Are they just upset it's not Gable? Is that it?
Well, no, I think it's just the fact that it's stupid, that it seems like something they would do years ago.
I don't know. I mean, like, when I heard that, I thought it was going to be Gable, but it wasn't. That's about the extent of things.
I thought it was going to be Jordan because it's like they're actually doing something with Gable on SmackDown, and they're not doing anything with Jordan right now. And Jordan looks more like Kurt Angle than Gable does, in my opinion.
All right. Oh, there's something we didn't bring up regarding SmackDown. Talking Smack is canceled.
Yeah. Which kind of sucks, but I haven't really watched it in like a month, so...
Well, you not watching it doesn't really have much to do with why it's gone.
No.
One very interesting thing Sports Illustrated is pointing out regarding that. The very final episode of Talking Smack that took place last week was the first episode where Vince McMahon sat in during production.
Oh.
And it was then canceled.
Oh. He now sits in during his own production.
Of Talking Smack. He had never sat in for a production of it before.
Well, didn't he see, like, other stuff of it?
You would think, but it's very unlikely. They actually got a quote from him, in his words, "The unscripted nature of the show does not benefit the image of our company."
I think it helps. It makes the company seem more relatable and, like, I don't know. Well, that's something.
Yep. So there you go. He didn't like the fact it was unscripted, so it's gone.
Which is, well, because he fucking is a control freak.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So that was New Blood Rising and a brief rant on the disappearance of Talking Smack for the title.
And now you get to hear my new pick.
Oh, goody.
So, this pick, it was kind of not really a random one. I think, like, the last show when I picked the first Raw I ever watched, I kind of went in the same vein as this is the first live pay-per-view that I ever watched. Well, okay, I was at an actual pay-per-view live before this, in there in person, but this was the first one that my friend had ordered, and I had come over and watched. It has a very vivid place, and because I was there at that same arena just this past April, and it's WrestleMania 24.
WrestleMania 24?
WrestleMania 24, and the reason why is because, like I said, it's the first time, the first pay-per-view I ever ordered, and my friend ordered, and I actually watched live. First WrestleMania 2, I watched live. And also, like I said, I was in that same arena not too recently, and I kind of always wanted to go back and watch 24, WrestleMania 24, just to kind of see the comparisons and whatnot. So, that's what we're doing. So I decided to pick this one. So it actually gives me a reason to watch it now.
All right.
It gives me an excuse. So, yeah.
And that is will now be the most recent show we'll have talked about once we get to it.
Yeah, that's why I also picked it, because I'm like, wow, that's actually pretty recent, so I'm going to do this one. And it's probably, I don't know if it's the best show we've talked about, but, because I haven't seen it in a while, and so I'm kind of, like, happy. I'm kind of looking forward to talking about it.
Well, you don't need to worry too much. It'll be better than this.
That's what I was literally just going to say that. It's going to be better than this one, so
yeah,
that's a positive.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so WrestleMania 24, and it's the first WrestleMania I think we're talking about on this show.
And it is the first WrestleMania, which also means it's going to be the longest show we've talked about.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Yeah.
But, I mean, fuck, we went, how long have we gone here?
We're approaching 2 hours.
We're almost 2 hours. The WrestleMania 24 is going to be so long. Well, granted, I think the shows that are bad, the worst shows, are the ones that seem to go longer because there's more to ramble about and more to badly to talk about. So.
Oh no, definitely. There's a lot to talk about. If that triple threat had happened, I think we would have shaved like 30 minutes off of this.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so that's my pick.
Okay, so next time on the Pre10tious podcast, we'll be discussing WrestleMania 24. See you then.
See you then. Bye.